All right, Quentin, you are the first rectangle.
All right. So I've just been working on the Weaver review screens, and they're going pretty well. Oh, I gotta adjust my SSH key for GitHub. I'm glad that Michelle posted that.
Yeah, does DocAssembly use SSH keys? I'm now remembering.
I don't know.
If it does, that will screw up a lot of things because there will not be an easy way to reset that. I should check. This is the thing I should check.
Well, I was interesting to say. So yeah, so this is like basically where things are for the review screens. So I decided to like kind of mock up the screens, which I think will be there. So we have this introduction screen. You know, that's not generated by the Weaver, but it's in our stock inner assembly line questions.
I really like the division of the screens like that. The one thing I'm wondering is, could we just change the CSS on this page so that it's like a max width, and then bump it out further?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not going to be using this on a phone, are you?
No.
Well, even if it was, it would still be responsive. It's just that,
yeah,
it's just if the outer div or whatever it's in could have a max width, maybe 20 or 30% larger.
I can try. I feel like it's something that worked early in DocAssembly in our first version of the Weaver, and then something seemed to break it upstream in DocAssembly. But maybe there is a way to do it. I'll definitely try. That's a good idea.
But I like that. It's a very good visual separation of the screens.
And then you can still change the screen order. There's only one screen in this interview that you can change. And then you can edit individual fields.
Would this show you, the Weaver asks for a lot of similar kinds of, from the user's perspective, it's similar information like title, description, short title, and there's some other things. And I'm not really clear when I'm going through the Weaver, which of the variables get those values. So I just always put the same thing in everything and then figure, oh, I'll change it when I open the YAML. But then there are things like, I want my template to be all lowercase with underscore, that's not camel. What's that? Snake? Is that snake? Is that snake case when you put the underscore? Is that what it's called? Snake?
Yep.
So I was thinking, because now I'm sort of on my 4th or 5th Word doc running through Weaver, and I find I got to go through and I'm not really clear about what shows up where. And I don't know.
This should do that. So I'm realizing I didn't make, this is good for me to test because this isn't updating visually on the screen. But yeah, so this will let you see, like, this is what the intro screen looks like. It uses the title. This is where the action word goes. And so on. So it gives you a little bit of that context. What we're talking about with the variable names, that's not really that visible here, but
yeah. And I don't know whether that's just me or whether that would be helpful, or if there were. So, I guess the other thing is, if there were a way to, in the Weaver, have some sort of hidden thing that you could reveal that says, this is the variable in your YAML, this is the variable this is the variable in your YAML that will get this value. Because I'm thinking about things like, and I think it's helpful for different jurisdictions, because some of these titles or short titles or whatever, you want to put your state in there because, but you don't want it, you don't want always your state to be there. So you might want to think strategically about where should your state go, where should it not go. You want your docx, you want your template to be underscored, and then the difference, and part of it is just understanding the YAML, like what's the difference between the attachment name, you know, the file name, the attachment name, the template, all of those things. And I mean, this is not for your conference, but it's just something that I've been thinking about and dealing with, thinking, oh God, I'll just put one thing in. I want to get through the Weaver and then go back and figure out what needs to go where. And that's, so when I uploaded not uploaded, but, you know, to production, pushed a package to production the other day, I was thinking, where does it get that language on your dispatch from the interview? And that ended up being a different problem. I thought I had uploaded it to the production and I hadn't. But, it would be really helpful to know some of these things that you want to change in your YAML, how they relate to what's in the Weaver.
That's good feedback. Yeah. And I do know, like, as I was going through this again, I don't use the Weaver that often, but I was like, oh, there's all of this language, which I think is kind of clunky that I'd like to change. I'll probably try not to include it in this edit. But one thing I did do was this change screen order button. Previously, it showed every field, and I did find out a way to have it group, like, instead of having 5 fields for the address, which were all listed separately, it just has one line for that. So like there's some little improvements there that are included. And I changed the text on some of these screens that pop up. These no longer pop up in the middle of you working on them. It's just you click on them from this review screen page, which does pop up in the middle if you're working. So the idea is to make this work with the I'm feeling lucky button, but I'm realizing, David, like one thing, I'm feeling lucky button right now that's on is designed to receive the field groupings in the URL. We won't be able to do that. So I really do need to think about how to integrate the I'm feeling lucky button into the workflow of when you upload it. It's gonna have to do something different from this part method.
Well, I can just run the if we have once we have the forms, I can just run them through the same workflow. So it will generate and make that the page. Then it will reference. I can just do that. We're in the same workflow, so it'll have the same metadata.
Well, that's for short term, right?
Yeah.
Like just get it. Yeah, it's probably
trying to figure out. Like, I actually don't think integrating the I'm feeling lucky button will be that hard, because it's just a few.
Just an option.
I do think we'll want it in general, right? Like we do want to move forward more with like form fixery stuff in the Weaver, and it's probably going to be more technically complicated than it should be, but like it is, like we already have form fixer on the server. It should just be we already have a function that's like get grouping.
Right.
The stuff is all laid out there. How good the grouping is going to be off the top of our head, like from the existing stuff, we could definitely still tweak, but like it's one of those things that it shouldn't be super hard to run other stuff on. Because we're running other form fixer stuff from the Weaver, right? Like we aren't getting. Is it set up to get every single bit of information from the Form Explorer right now?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay.
I think the only form fixer stuff we're using is really just the PDF editing features. So we use it to get
those like first two checkboxes.
The fields.
Yeah. Okay.
Just if you want to rename the fields, I think that's pretty much all that it's for right now.
Can I just the I'm feeling lucky button? I've never used it. Is it just? And you're talking about grouping, so that it tries to figure out which fields go on a screen and then produces various screens. So it's just you don't have to go through all the details.
That's right. And actually, like one drawback of that is right now, this review screen, there's no way for you to move a field from one screen to another. So you can't edit their groupings, just reorder them.
Yeah.
Which is probably fine for most of the way people use the Weaver right now, but it will kind of be stick out a bit.
Could you say you were going to edit screen, see the fax information edit screen? If you clicked on that, could you click on a field and then reassign it to a different screen that way?
No, you can't right now. Okay. So I have to figure out if that's something that's easy or hard to do.
because that's sort of the reverse of the way you do it now is you're on a screen and you pick a field, but
Mhm.
what we're describing is go to the field and pick a screen, and that's a different.
Almost like if you had
Yeah,
like we do with the compare tool where we have a set of lists and you can move things back and forth between.
yeah.
You select them and then push them over one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a nice thing to be able to do. It may be, that's actually a good question for feedback. Like, do we think that's a priority to do before our demo workshop on?
No.
No,
Okay.
nothing is a priority before our demo workshop other than having the workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the other reason is, remember, you guys know this really well. And this, I mean, I always do this too, but a lot of people are going to come to this for the first time. And so you don't want to show them too many things, right?
No, that's definitely true. Yeah. We're going to try to workshop it with Gabe and Sarah, who have never used this tool before, next Thursday, and that might be helpful to see.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
They might tell us we don't think anyone can understand the workshop, which is we'll figure out something else to do. But yeah, I was thinking.
Is he still at Suffolk?
Gabe Tenenbaum.
Yeah, is he still at Suffolk?
He is. Yeah, he's an associate dean now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Distance, innovation, something. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
I
No,
forget
I just
exactly what it is.
his name came up on LinkedIn the other day, and I thought, oh, haven't heard that name in a while. I was wondering where he is.
Yeah.
That's
what
good.
was I gonna say?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I guess we have to see like how many forms we can get prepared in advance too.
Oh,
I don't know how
so
that's done.
on that, I did upload the Alaska name change, but then I was talking to Michelle. I was saying, because you have your two folders. You've got one with labeled, which only has Massachusetts and now Alaska, and then you have one that's unlabeled. And Michelle, we talked about this before and after your vacation about labeling them, whether you want to have a prescribed list of fields or whether you don't. And Michelle thought you were going to use AI to label the fields. I don't know. It's some sort of automatic. I don't know. So
Eventually,
I'm happy to help.
I'm not confused about what folders you're talking about.
The name change files. You're going to have different states name change files labeled so people could use those if they didn't have their own.
Yeah, we were going to manually label those for the conference.
You are. Okay, so I am happy to do that. Do we have a list of, are we going to have consistent?
Good question. Yeah. Last week we talked about it and we decided we probably needed at least 2 variables, which we will standardize and we'll add to the Weaver too. So one is going to be like user 0.preferred name, which I guess we'll make it a name field so they can change first and last name.
You might want 3 names. So you're gonna have current name, birth certificate name, and name you want to change to, which would be preferred name, right?
Yeah, no, we're also going to have the other thing that Quinn mentioned we're going to try and standardize is just like aliases.
Previous names that you've had, because at least for Massachusetts you have to list those.
So your birth certificate name would be under that.
Correct.
Yes.
I see. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So like a list of previous names and then a preferred name. Yeah. So, can you think of other things from you, because you just looked at the Alaska one? Can you think of other things that would be really helpful to have standardized? If people don't follow those, I think it's totally okay.
Oh yeah, but
it's
always helpful to have guidance, especially when you're doing things like multiple, the whole gather multiple name thing. If that's already built.
I guess I can add these to the list, even though we don't have them in the Weaver yet.
Yeah.
I'll just add those 2 things as we're talking. I'll add anything else that you think of too.
And then because we're talking about child name. I mean, because you're gonna have name change for children, you have name change for adults. And so on the name change, I'm gonna throw these out here. I'm not recommending or suggesting, I'm just reminding. For children, you're always going to have parental consent attached. If not attached, why not attached? And that'll be things like parents are deceased, their parental rights have been terminated.
So consent attached.
Yeah,
Why not consent attached?
Yeah.
Okay. Writing those down.
I've labeled them in the Alaska thing, and maybe as I go labeling more of all the others PDFs in is that assembly line files? Is that where that is?
And the
teams have
assembly line
different-
files. Yep, exactly. And there's at least a couple of docx files I saw you put in there, right, Bryce?
Yeah, those were just docx's that I got from the courts because they didn't have PDFs, and I figured if we need to, we can turn them into PDFs just to make everything consistent. But the docx's we can just label as is too. So
Yeah, so your docx is MT. That's Montana, right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What should we call the previous names? Because I'm just thinking like, what's general purpose, or if we need it to be general purpose. So we could call it previous names. We could call it aliases. We could call it. Those are the two names that come.
I like previous better than aliases.
Okay.
And also, I mean, the thing too is
Those are different things, though, right?
there's
They are
current
different
names.
things, but
So, I mean, that's why you're saying 2, but I sort of feel like 3 because there's the current name, there's previous names, and then there's preferred name.
Well, we already have a current name. It's
Oh,
Name.
right.
It's like
Okay,
the-
yeah. So you're
it's-
adding
yeah.
2. It's already okay. Got it. Sorry.
yeah, like we assume pretty much everywhere in a lot of our forms that like the name attribute on someone is like their legal name.
Right.
So
And just for the lingo, so you've got, I can never remember, individual and person. One of those is a subcategory of the other, right?
individual is a type of person, and
Okay.
persons include businesses.
Okay, and so individual is the one that has name variables.
separate parts for the name. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, so you could have users name, and then you could have children list is still an individual. So everything that your user has, your children will have, right?
Correct.
In
Yeah.
terms of-
We're going to add these basically on top of the individual object. They won't be like dependent on it being specifically the first user.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I get these things. There's also something that's, every time I come across it, I think this is so basic and I keep forgetting to ask. It comes to stand up, I total blank. And I keep thinking, one of these days I need to ask you about this, but I can't remember what it is. But it's that kind of thing, that whole thing is what level are we here? Okay, it'll come one of these days.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else then?
No, I'll start writing these variable names in, but if you have other ideas, Carolyn, just take a look. I'll put them right in the Word document that's in the same folder
Okay,
that says instructions.
okay.
Cool. All right. Bryce, you're the second rectangle.
Nothing blocking miscellaneous things. Did a lot this week. Nothing blocking though. Or the only management E question, which I won't end up doing until Tuesday anyway, is are we good with a production update? Mostly because one of the things I did this week was realized I hadn't looked at the production errors for a while. Went through and tried to triage and fix a lot of them. And a handful of ones are from PDF Miner and old packages that current DocAssembly doesn't even use anymore. And so that it's not able to, it doesn't really make sense to try and look into them and see if what actually happened and patch it or make it more resilient or something. So if it makes sense, I can update, or if everyone thinks it's a good idea, I can update the production server and try and get a lot of our older, or a lot of the stuff that we have already changed and have fixed and improved, just get all of those on production and explicitly set out a day to keep do less of other stuff, but watch production and make sure that nothing's going down or we aren't getting immediately a bunch of stuff wrong. And the only things that the specific things I'm thinking of are like just the GitHub feedback interview has some new changes that would help, and the affidavit is like really new and has the supplement integrated and everything. And that version isn't on production yet, but
I would support that. I was thinking about the same thing. I meant to ask you, except I missed Monday's call. So, yeah.
cool then.
Caroline.
I'm still plugging away. I did, was too tired to notice something last night that Bryce and Michelle both pointed out. On my production server, when I did the list, it wasn't a user-friendly item on the list because I hadn't updated the package or pulled the package to production. But then I was doing something this morning, just checking or something. And I tried, I made another edit to it. I pulled it last night. So I realized that was what the deal was. But then I made one more edit this morning to it. I tried to pull it. And Michelle's very suspicious of the package management page to do the update button next to the interview. And so she always likes to uninstall that package and then reinstall it by putting the GitHub URL in the thing and pulling it again. And I've never had a problem with it. But then I did that this morning. I just used the update button and then I got an error updating I've saved it. Updating, let me just say. Yeah, there was an error updating the packages. So, and then I realized, I did see that last night. I just did it again and ignored it and assumed that it worked because I didn't actually go check. So I'm wondering if there's some funny little glitchy thing or if there's a caching thing or something. And I don't know. I don't know what I should do. I don't want to wreck my production server. So I just stopped and I thought, well, we're having stand up in 15 minutes. I'll ask you guys.
Sounds like a blocker. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah. I think what would help the most is like what specifically the error was.
Here, it's just here. It's a pink. I can just show you real quick.
As if it's not showing extra like specific stuff.
That's it.
Oh, that's all that it shows?
Yeah.
I won't ask you to do this now because that would definitely show stuff you don't want on the stream. But
no, it's fine.
No, we don't want to show it on the stream.
Don't want to show it on the stream. Logs. I was going to say if you go through your logs, it would have more information. But there's a lot of stuff in logs you don't want to show.
I see. Okay.
But if you wanted to go through the logs or just like download it and like upload it to Teams, or like send it in a DM to one of us to somehow make it a bit more private or one of the private channels or something, I think that might help. Which is interesting, yeah, because I don't think I've
Usually there is a log that it tells you exactly.
That's what I was wondering, which log do I go to? Because there's like 4 different types, right?
The DocAssembly log specifically.
Let's not share the screen if you're going to be clicking around.
I won't.
The other log to check would be the which the background log file. Is it the UWSGI one? Or
it's called work. So it's called like worker, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it could be
look there too. I think that's where
I've gone over. I'm supposed to be in another meeting.
Okay.
Cool.
Can you
I can stay on. And there's probably need to go to that other meeting, huh?
No.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of there for being there.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Bye, David. Oh, I'm not going to be here on Monday. I don't think.
Okay.
I might, but I might not.
Cheers.
See ya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing I don't know if I've seen stuff like this before. The only thing that I have
Should we stop the recording and then maybe just?
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe we should just do that. Unless there's anything else that we need to record.
That's my only thing. Also I would just say I think the testing is fantastic. It just keeps being better and better. That's all I can say.
We're getting very close to actually having it like easy to run without having to do all the GitHub stuff. So
well, it's the thing is, so you have to work with something for a while, coming up with a system. So I have this spreadsheet of every possible permutation. And then I do the tests that seem to be most significant, and then a lot of them are just slight details are different. But I do all that, and I have, because I'm doing these accordions, so it's different for a form, right? But because I do this final screen has all the answers in it that reflect the path you took. I put that there on the spreadsheet. I run the tests, and then the tests that I have download with the artifacts. You know, first of all, they tell you if they pass or fail, but then they download the final screen, which is important, and the PDF. And that means Jeannie can just look at the spreadsheet, and instead of her having to go through each one or, you know, the same thing, she can just look at the final product. I mean, obviously she wants to look at a few of them because she wants to make sure the questions are the right language and typos and stuff, but it means that she can just go there. And so I've downloaded all the screenshots and the PDFs into a folder, and I label the artifacts. The tests are just row 2, row 3, row 4 that correspond with the spreadsheet. So I'm super psyched about it because it takes time, but I'd have to do that anyway, but should save her a lot of time. So I think that's really fantastic. So that's my one more pull plug for testing, which I was dubious about, 2 years ago.
Well, let's is the recording stopped now, Bryce?
Do I have control? I don't have control. You do.